Here at Old Dominion University head coach Steve Martin. 2 days away from competition. Practices are getting more geared up, more intensive. What's it been like now with preseason practices pretty much done and competition's 2 days away?
We're excited to get the competition part because we get a chance to see where guys stand. We got this weekend we wrestle Chattanooga on Friday night, and then we have the Hokie Open on Sunday. That's always a tough tournament. So very interested. We have a lot of young kids. We have a 32-man roster with 2 seniors and 2 juniors. Everybody else is freshmen and sophomores. So we're pretty young, but I think very talented. And so some of these guys have been training. We got a clock up on the wall. We'd reset it after the NCAAs, and we're down to I think about 130, 135 days. So we've been training for quite a bit since NCAA tournament.
The last 5 years you've had an All-American or somebody competing in a round of 12. Before you arrived, the previous All-American was in 1995. What have you done with this program that is basically geared? It says we're going to have All-Americans every single year.
I think basically, the culture changed. Our kids now, when they step across the mat from somebody from the Big 10 or Big 12, they expect to beat them. Before they were, didn't even know if they should have been there. And we've had some great recruiting classes over the last 3 or 4 years. I think our last 3 have really been the key classes. We've had All-Americans the last 4 years, but I think these last 3 years, these last 3 recruiting classes, we had a couple top 10 classes. I think we're going to have a top 10 one again this year in the fall. So that will be 4 good recruiting classes put back to back, and I'm really excited about the next 5 or 6 years of this team. Last year we redshirted quite a few guys, and basically getting ready for this year. Short-term misery for long-term gain. The other thing that's really happened is we have a new athletic director that's really back and is hardcore. He's basically was behind getting us, new facility. $2 million facility. He's been really nice on the scholarships and budgets and the coaches' salaries. He's really behind us. He's letting his he's letting the money do the talking about the amount of money he's investing in our program. So all 3 of those the recruiting, changing the culture, and the administration not getting behind us, I think is a huge thing for us, being able to produce All-Americans as national champions.
What about the mindset? Well, you're bringing all these good classes, yet you haven't put out a year with 2 All-Americans yet. You've been close. What is one thing maybe people don't understand about recruiting, that just because you have good kids come in doesn't mean that means 10 All-Americans and a top 10 finish? I mean, what's it take to build a program from the ground up?
Well, I would say there's a lot of attrition in the first couple of recruiting classes because you still have a lot of kids hanging around that might have been on the team that didn't have very good habits. It takes a while to build a culture, and we're in year 8. It probably took to year 7 until we got the right type of kids across the board on our team. And we're going in year 8 now. But as far as recruiting classes, just because you have a great recruit doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to produce. I mean, you look at some of these programs. Ohio State 5 years ago had the #1 recruiting class, and maybe 1 All-American out of 7 or 8 guys. So I mean, it's how you develop them where you get it. Our best kid, Ryan Williams, was by no means a top recruit coming out of high school, but he was a tough kid. We taught how to wrestle. But the good thing that I like about these recruits is they're all pretty good, and they've got national recognition, and they do the right things off the mat, and that's one of the keys, being able to do the right things off the mat. And we know if the kids can wrestle, but doing the right things off the mat is huge. It's key. It's whether or not those kids are going to pan out 5 years later.
In terms of building the program, the new facility here, the old facility was kind of like a blocked off triangle with a couple of pillars in it. How much easier does a new room make the coaching and the teaching?
Well, the new room, basically, it's great for recruiting because it's, I think, one of your top 10 to 15 facilities in the country. And we're getting an expansion pretty shortly here, depending on one other facility getting built. We already have the money donated, so we're getting ready to expand our facility to keep up with everybody else. But obviously it's great to have your own room. I mean, our athletes are the only ones that can get in this room with a swipe card, with a proxy card. I mean, our administrators don't even have access. It's basically the wrestlers, coaches, and janitors. So, it's a beautiful facility, and we're very fortunate to have it, and we're going to add onto it, which is even better.
In terms of the schedule this year, the one real asterisk, the big mark, is a home duel on November 20th against Iowa State. First time the Cyclones are coming in, planning an alumni day. What's that going to do to try to, excite the program, get more people to come in? What are the plans for that duel against Iowa State?
Tentatively, the Iowa State match, we have a social set up about an hour and a half before. If there's any alumni out there, you need to RSVP us so we can get a head count. We're going to recognize those alumni, at halftime. They have commercials playing at all the home football and basketball games, which they've never done before, 30-second spread. That's a pretty cool training video they did in the fall of 3 or 4 of our workouts. Brandon Vera could be signing autographs before the match. We're finding out here pretty shortly. He just won his UFC title match the other night. He's a ODU grad. And, we're trying to get 4,000 or 5,000 people at the match, which I think is very realistic. So that is a very big match for us. It's really our first really, really big name program that's coming to town to compete.
Last 5-10 years, Old Dominion, Virginia Tech have made a rise in the rankings nationally. Now with another hire in the Colonial Athletic Association, Joe Russell at George Mason. What's that going to do for Virginia wrestling when you've got 3 quality programs? You've got the Service Academy School at VMI, and then George Mason makes a push to get Joe Russell in there. What's that do for the CAA and the state of Virginia overall?
Well, I think Joe's, obviously going to elevate that program. I think it's good for the state of, the sport of wrestling in the state of Virginia, because, Virginia kids are going to have more options, to go to Virginia colleges. And, Russell's going to, he's going to help out the conference in general because he's going to get more qualifiers, which will help us get more people in the national tournament. So, I'm glad when they, get good young coaches like that, in our conference, because it's just going to up the number of qualifiers for us.
In terms of this season, what are the expectations? There's nobody coming back that's an All-American. Like you said, you're real young, got a couple starters back, but a lot of first-time guys in the lineup. What are you expecting to see at Chattanooga in the Hokie Open this weekend?
We're basically, we're expecting everybody to wrestle hard and to, pull off some what people call upsets. We need to start putting some wins on the board against some good people. And I think we've been training, and I think that this is a year where we could do those things. I don't think a whole lot of people were expecting very much out of us, but we have a couple weights where we can really make a run deep at the national tournament. I'll let people figure that out on their own. But I mean, I think dual meet wise, we're very balanced. We were not balanced last year. We had very large holes at several weights. And we knew that going into the season when we decided, to redshirt some people. But it's not like that this year. I mean, we're deep at several weight classes. So I feel pretty confident with a lot of our guys, going out there. We're going to be competitive in all of our dual meets. As far as the national tournament, our goal is, like always, put a couple, All-Americans up there, try to get some, get some national champs. We haven't had any national champs yet, but that's still our goal. But I think at the end of the year, we might surprise some people, knowing that basically pretty much our whole lineup is fresh, first and second, third year kids. We're probably not going to wrestle. We're probably not going to wrestle any of our true freshmen. I don't know, unless somebody gets hurt. But so really, our whole lot is basically second and third year kids, to be honest with you. So it's going to be exciting.